Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. I want to start today talking about disaster relief and the politicization of federal funds to help people who have been afflicted by natural disasters. These could be the fires that we're seeing in California. These could be, as we have seen before, tornadoes in the center of the country or hurricane relief in Florida, New York, New Jersey after Superstorm Sandy, Puerto Rico, wherever the case may be. During a recent interview, Republican Senator John Barrasso was asked, are Republicans going to help California recover from disasters, even if they don't agree with the state's politics? And the reason that this even came up, of course, is that we're starting to hear so much about how it's DEI or lesbians or women in charge of the LAFD or not raking the forest floors, even though these are mostly fires in residential areas. We're hearing it's Gavin Newscum, as Donald Trump trothed a few times last week. So it's a reasonable question, particularly given Republicans' longstanding history of double standards of when federal funds should or shouldn't be used for disaster relief, depending on whether it's Kansas tornadoes or Superstorm Sandy in liberal New York and New Jersey. It's a reasonable question to say to Barrasso, is there going to be a problem here with Republicans agreeing to get disaster aid to liberal California? And the response from Barrasso is that he does expect there will be strings attached. I'm going to play the clip in a moment, but understand that disaster relief is supposed to be about helping people in need, not about politics. But here we have a senior Republican senator openly admitting that aid for disaster victims will come with conditions that are always designed to serve a political agenda. That's very different from when Americans are caught in a disaster, we do everything we can to help them recover. This is, yeah, we'll give them money, but there will be strings attached. Here's the clip.
Can't happen again, and the policies of the liberal administration out there, I believe, have made these fires worse.
Do you expect, though, that Congress and Republicans will still help these Americans in need, even if they don't like their local politics and the party?
I expect that there will be strings attached to money that is ultimately approved, and it has to do with being ready the next time, because this was a gross failure this time.
Wow. Imagine for a moment if President Biden or any Democrat suggested we're going to attach some political conditions to disaster aid. Fox News would lose its mind. You would have endless segments about how Democrats are heartless elites weaponizing tragedy to push their liberal values and woke culture. You'd hear outrage about how the coastal elites are punishing hardworking, real Americans in the red states. And yet, Republicans casually float this thing, and it barely makes a blip. And if you're wondering why, it's because we've normalized this kind of cruelty and hypocrisy from the Republican Party. But we should be clear that conditioning disaster aid is wrong, and it should be unacceptable, full stop. And it's especially hypocritical coming from the same party that loves to scream about how much they love real Americans and claim that they're the champions of the working class. If Democrats tried to withhold hurricane aid from North Carolina until North Carolina implemented stricter gun laws, for example, or banned book bans, the Republican Party would call it federal government tyranny. They would call Biden or Obama or whoever suggested it a dictator. But instead, when Republicans suggest attaching some strings to aid for Californians, Fox News has no problem with it. None of the right has a problem with it. Now, the reality is that we should just be helping people. And we saw this not happen under Trump. We saw it with Trump in terms of disaster relief while in office. We saw it with Puerto Rico. We've seen it with Republicans who were very hesitant to vote for federal aid for New York and New Jersey after Superstorm Sandy. but immediately said, give everything that they want to Kansas for tornado relief. And what was the difference? Liberal New York, liberal New Jersey, conservative Kansas. They love using disaster aid as a political weapon. It shouldn't come with the fine print. When someone's home is underwater or burned to the ground, they care about blue state, red state. They need help. But Republicans always want leverage. Who is in power? What can we extract? Let's maybe help people with like a second or third or fourth set of requirements that comes with it. And that's honestly what's so disturbing about this. When red states get hit with hurricanes, we on the left just go, give them the money. Of course, what are you talking? We're not going to condition it on gun safety laws or anything. Democrats step up and they say, of course, we're going to provide aid. If a Republican is in power and there's a disaster that afflicts a red state, Democrats always say, give them the money, of course. But when it's a blue state like California, now they want to negotiate, there's strings attached and whatever else. It's not just bad governance, it's cruel. And it's a reinforcement of the deep hypocrisy of a party that talks about uniting America while using disaster relief as a weapon to divide America. So next time you hear Republicans talk about patriotism and how they love America and all Americans, remember that their love has some strings attached. And if you live in a blue state, the strings might choke off the help that you need. Disgusting and despicable stuff. We've seen massive data breaches over the last year at a disturbing rate, exposing people's sensitive data on a massive scale. I feel safe because I use Aura, one of our sponsors. Aura will monitor the dark web to check if your personal info has been compromised, your emails, passwords, social security number. It'll keep an eye on credit accounts and it'll let you know if there's anything suspicious going on. And Aura can also scan your devices for malware, ransomware, viruses, and more. Aura even will provide parental controls to let your kids explore the internet safely with tools to filter harmful sites and limit screen time. Aura is an easy-to-use app that protects your identity, money, passwords, devices, and more, all in one place. Instead of using a dozen multiple services to do the same things, you get everything you need to stay safe online in one place. Go to aura.com/Pacman to try it for 2 weeks, totally free. With the free subscription, it'll take seconds to see if your personal data is already compromised. Protect yourself and your family now. The link is in the description.